my stamp collection that I've been working on for years. I love my stamp collection. If you love something, then you get to keep it. And because you are decluttering and getting rid of the things that you don't love, you will have more room for the things that you do love. Now let's talk about office supplies. We all know somebody that has thousands of paper clips or rubber bands or erasers or safety pins. They can keep those pieces really organized. They've got a nice little box for them, a nice spot for them. And if they ever find a rubber band, then they put it right exactly where it's supposed to go, and that's great. But let's think realistically. How many paper clips are you going to use in the next 10 years? If you're like me, then you'll probably be fine keeping about 20 paper clips. And that would be more than enough for many years. But yes, this is going to be hard to explain to a grandma that has 4,000 paper clips. She's not going to understand why you want to get rid of all these perfectly organized paper clips. If you can convince her to do some decluttering, then maybe you can negotiate with her to keep 100 paper clips, or maybe even 500 paper clips. But really, anything would be better than the current 4,000 paper clips. So now that you have 100 paper clips rather than 4,000, look at how much more wiggle room you can have in your desk drawer. As for newspapers and magazines, you've loved reading it, but you no longer need it, and they're stacking up, and you probably don't have room for them. You do not need to keep years of magazines and newspapers. Remember, you have your good old friend, the internet, that has almost every article written in your lifetime stored in archives, and you could look up any subject whenever you want without it taking up physical space in your home. Now, if you're explaining this to someone who is not so savvy on the internet, such as your grandparents, then they might not feel that it is so easy to access information. So maybe you can negotiate to keep maybe 6 newspapers at a time, or maybe just 1 year of magazine subscriptions. In my house, I have a spot where I put all our magazines, and as soon as it gets too full, then I throw them all away and only keep the current edition. And then I start piling them up there again, and until the next time when it gets too full, and then I just throw them all away again. On the same note, my husband and I have been able to trim down our number of books. Increasingly, we find ourselves reading electronic books on the internet, and the books on our bookshelves, they just gather dust. So if you have a book that you rarely look at, that you barely ever pull it off your shelf, and you can access this book on the internet or get it from the library, then you are in a good position to give away that book. Imagine how much more space you would have if you had only half of the books that you own now. It used to be cool to have a whole wall full of books, to have your own personal library, but it is no longer cool to do that. Let the library have the shelves and shelves of books. You want to live in your home. Your home is not a storage place for things that you don't use very much. You want to live in your home, not store things in your home. What about that thing that cost you so much money? For example, this computer. You paid hundreds of dollars, maybe $1,000 or more for this thing. So in this case, I would look at the 5 questions, and Honestly answer them. Well, I only want this thing because I spent so much money on it, but other than that, I don't really want it. I don't like it because it's slow, it's old, and I use the other computer that's newer. It's in the garage gathering dust, so no, I do not have room for it in my home. That's why I moved it out to the garage. Remember that each item takes up space, and sometimes that space that the item takes up is more valuable than the item itself. If you are trying to create a clutter-free home, then you only want to keep items in your home that you love. If you don't love this thing, even though it was expensive, if you don't love it, then get rid of it. Give it away. Sell it if it can still bring in some money. And then that way, you'll have more room in your home for the things that you love. And you will start to love your home even more. So what items do you have now that you love in your home? And what do you have that you don't love in your home? Let me know in the comments below. Please like this video and subscribe to the Purple Glitter channel. And we will see you next time.